Welcome to the Unit 9 Antiscape mini lessons. We're going to go through mini lesson 9.1, which is going to go over a new type of controller for your programs called the XY controller. And what we'll be doing on this controller is we'll be using user input to manipulate the sprites or objects on the screen by changing their XY values. And let's go ahead and see what that looks like. So we have our little space globe here, and the sprite's name, just so you know, is called XY movement. You'll notice how I specifically name these sprites. I do that to help stay organized. So when we click on the green flag, we press the arrow keys, we'll be moving left, right, up, and down. Okay, nothing super fancy. You've probably seen something similar to this. If you haven't, here it is. But the main point is, with these XY coordinates being changed, we're using the arrow keys, and when the up arrow is pressed, we change Y by positive 10. When the down arrow is pressed, which is over here, we change Y by negative 10, and then the right arrow and the left arrows change the X axis with a positive or negative value. So if it's a positive 10, it's moving right on the X axis. If it's left arrow is moving negative 10, which is moving this way on the x-axis. And the same holds true for the up and down on the y-axis. There's nothing used here for the stage. You're probably wondering, why are we using this type of control system when we had another one for the other sprites? This is just to give you a different idea of how to move the sprites around with the controller. There's technically probably an infinite number of different type of controllers you can make for sprites based upon your own imagination. These are just some more general ones that you'll see in the Scratch community, and they also help demonstrate some of the main characteristics you need to know on programming the movement of sprites, so that way when you move on to more complex technologies, you'll have a good solid understanding. Let's look at what we're going to learn here, which I kind of gave an explanation, but this is the formal learning objective, and we're going to understand the XY positions as variables and how to manipulate them. Whenever we're manipulating the XY variables, there's a lot of different ways to do so. We're going to be using a block called change X and change Y by. And what you'll do is you'll change these values, the X and Y values, which are variables within the Scratch program, and we're going to change these values by a certain data input right here, which in this case is 10 for each one of those. Let's look at down here at this image. We have our little cat person here, and the cat is at the 0 position on the x-axis. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the movement of the cat across this coordinate in conjunction with this block right here as it repeats through this loop right here. Now I just want to give you an idea of what's taking place, because you'll see another block here in a second that a lot of people accidentally use whenever they're trying to change the movement of their sprites, and that can cause some errors in your program, which can cause confusion, and confusion is never a good thing when you're trying to learn something. So right here on the first loop, the cat goes from 0 to a position of 50 on the x-axis. Okay, that's the first loop through this loop right here. Okay, so the first time it goes through, we change x by 50, and the cat's now to position of 50 on the x-axis. We're not even worrying about the y, so don't even think about that. Okay, in the second loop, when it goes back through again, the cat's now to position of 100, because we just changed it by 50 again. So we added 50 to this movement. We go through the third loop, the cat's now to position of 150. Okay. And then the fourth loop, the cat is at a position of 200. So it's moving 50 steps each time through the loops across the x-axis. Okay, that's changing the x by a certain value. All right, now we're not using this specific code in our program, but I wanted you to see what's taking place with this change x by. Next, we have another block, and this will cause some confusion. We're going to set the x to a value, or set y to a value. What we'll do is we'll just set the value of that variable to whatever you input into it. So when the cat starts at a position of 0 on the x-axis, when we go through the first loop, we set x to 50. So the cat's now at 50. In the second loop, we set the position to 50. The cat's still at 50. We set the position to 50 again, so the cat's still at 50. In the fourth loop, the cat's still at 50. Okay, we keep setting the position of the cat to the X value of 50. So it's 50, 50, 50, 50. Okay, it's not changing it, it's just setting it. It's kind of like if I told you every 5 minutes to set your watch to 1 o'clock, your watch is almost going to say 1 o'clock the entire time because I keep telling you to set your clock back to 1 o'clock every time. Okay, we don't compensate for the change of time like the change of XY block. We're just setting the clock to 1 o'clock. And that's what we're doing here. We're just setting its position with this block. Okay, you might see some movement initially, and this block does have a useful place in Scratch, but it doesn't have a useful place in this particular program. Okay, and that wraps it up for mini lesson 9.1. There's the icons you need. You won't be programming on the stage. You'll just be programming here on this sprite for XY movement, and you're more than welcome to change the sprites up as you see fit. All right, good luck, and we'll see you in the next video.